morning. My name is Matthew Ross. I'm the physical education teacher at Brooks Elementary. The school is in Noonan, Georgia. I'll be doing my school report data on the fourth grade impact checks, which is also the star reader assessment in our school. A little bit of background about the assignments. Our students have actually tested as the highest school in the county. We're in Coweta County in Georgia the last few years. That's a picture of our school right there. We have 114 students in the fourth grade, and they work extremely hard each and every day, as we're so proud of them as teachers. Again, I'm doing the fourth grade impact checks. The three focal points I'll be focusing on are the projected scale scores for the students. That's the score they have at this moment whenever they took the assignment. The end of the year scale score is what we're projecting them to have by the end of the school year due to the Georgia Milestones assessment. The assessment that they take each year is the Georgia Milestones, and the students we're able to see how they score throughout the school year depending on how their reading abilities are. And then the Lexile, which is their comprehension of what they'll be reading, and then the text complexity of what they'll be reading as well. So there's 4 levels of the assessments. Levels 1 all the way to level 4. Level 1 is also called the beginner level, which is the shade of red, as you can see there in the diagrams that I have for you. Level 2 is called the developer level. It's the color yellow. Level 3 is a proficient. It's in the color of blue. And then level green, which is the distinguished level. That's the highest level, level 4. You can see a little bit better here on this graph. So these snapshots that I have for you, how the students scored and the different colors that they have. Again, there's 114 of them, all the way from 1 to 114 at the very bottom there in green. There's 2 demographic elements that I examined. I focused on the forms of education of the students and also the different races that we have at the school. As far as our demographics, there's 7 different forms of education. We have EIP, EIP, 504s, we have SOL, we have ESOL, ESL, REACH, and then just general education. The biggest area there in blue, that's the REACH students. That's our highest level in 4th grade. And as you can see, we have a lot of REACH students, which is also gifted. And then the smaller blue area in navy, that's the general education. Those are our 2 definitely biggest areas as far as 4th grade students, on down to the smaller colors. Another demographic, as I mentioned, is race. Our students at our school are majority white. We also have black, as you can see, Hispanics, and mixed. For the different columns in the bar graph are the different shades, depending on what they scored on. Again, red is beginner, yellow is developer, blue is proficient, and green is distinguished. So you can see how the students scored on there for the graph that I have for you. The different goals of our assessments, I focused on the 2019-2020, the first fall semester at the very top goal there. Moving on down to the right, our goal as teachers is to increase their reading ability any way that we can. From the students in the beginner level, we're trying to get them to the developer level from level 1 to 2. Developer, we're trying to get them to the proficient levels, 2s to 3s. Proficient level to distinguished, 3 to 4. And then finally, our goal is to maintain those high levels of 3s and 4s, those proficient distinguished level learners. Obviously, the students are going to score depending on their reading ability, but we're working as hard as we can to motivate them, to encourage them to read at a higher level than they are when they previously scored. How to explain the data, as I mentioned earlier, we're focusing on a projected score. That's the current color-coded score indicating the color of the assessment. So whatever they scored on that given assessment, that's the color that they were given. That's their projected score. Their score as of right now. At the end of the year, we can project their scores from their milestones by the data that we have. So that would be their end of the year score. And then their Lexile score is the complexity of the text they're reading and then their understanding or the comprehension of the material that they read. As teachers, we're constantly trying to prepare our students each and every day by giving them lessons, by activities to increase their skill score as they read. And then also we use the data to drive our instructions as teachers to motivate them, as I mentioned earlier. There's 3 issues that I found through the STAR reading program that we have. The students have only one opportunity to take the assessment. Now, there are different assessments throughout the year, but for one given assessment, they only have one chance to take it. There may be a variety of reasons why they didn't score as well as we may have thought they did, or maybe they thought they could have. They could be sick, they may not be feeling very well that day, they may have had a bad day, something may have happened to affect their ability to focus and to concentrate. So that could definitely be an issue. As I mentioned, there's 114 students in the 4th grade. So teachers having to focus on all of those students, giving their reports, analyzing the data, and then going back and trying to help them improve on their score could definitely be difficult. But as teachers, that's our job. That's what we look forward to, and that's what we're trying to do, is challenge the students any way we can. And then the complexity can be strenuous, especially for the students that scored really well the first time they took the assessment. It may be hard for them to maintain that score or definitely improve, depending on how high their first score was. Some trends that I noticed as I analyzed the data: the gifted students or the read students seem to test at the higher end of the spectrum. The students in the EIPs or EIPs seem to test lower down in the data, and the students that were in the general education areas seem to focus and seem to test more in the middle. Those first 3 bullet points were expected as teachers. We expected those students to test in those areas that they were. We did notice with the data that the students scored or read above or on their grade level, which was good, and we were proud of them for that. And then none of the results were affected by any of the demographics that I mentioned earlier. The reasons to celebrate: we have many reasons to celebrate here at Brooks, but the biggest one is 60% of our students in the 4th grade read at a proficient or distinguished level, levels 3s and 4s, which is outstanding. The proficient students in level 3 was 42% and 18% at the distinguished level 4 level. Areas of weakness that we noticed: we did have a 40% rate at levels 1 or 2. That's our job as teachers, to improve those scores and help them to get their score at a higher reading level. As 14% at beginner at level 1 and 26 at developer level 2. Those scores aren't very high at all, which is good for us as teachers, but we are encouraging and we are helping the students anyway to get to that next level that they can get to. Next steps that we as teachers perform at our school for 4th graders are weekly book incentives. We do everything that we can to encourage students to visit the media center, encourage them to go there to read. The more they go, the more likely they're going to read, and more likely they're going to want to improve on their reading. We have an accelerated reader program in our schools called AR. Students are motivated to go read, as I mentioned, but the more they read, they have opportunities to earn rewards and prizes when they check out a book, to read the book. They can take quizzes or tests on the book, and the more points they earned, the more opportunities they have to win prizes and win events and things like that. So that last little bullet with improvement, students can win prizes, which, as I mentioned, that's their student growth report. So we have a few next steps that are good, that the students have opportunities to read and encourage, and then we encourage them to read, as I've said. I have some references here for you that I use throughout the presentation. And does anybody have a question? Very good, thank you.